The Boo Carter saga has come to a close, and I don't know if Colorado fans are going to be pleased with how it ended. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Let's talk Boo Carter. If you guys need some context, because I could give you that right now, two-way, or he's going to be a two-way star for Tennessee this year. Last year, he was an all-SEC, all-freshman team, all-American, all-SEC defensive back who dabbled in some kick returning, some punt returning, and Colorado went after him hard as a recruit, and they didn't end up getting him. Obviously, he went to Tennessee. It's his home. He's from Tennessee, so he stayed home. And all of a sudden, over the past week or so, there was murmurs that his time in Knoxville wasn't going well. He had been called out by the leadership council, the players on the team, the leaders on the team, and they were not pleased with him missing multiple team events and then him being upset when they called him out for it. So there was a lot of drama there. And then all of a sudden I heard some murmurs, and it was reported that Boo Carter to Colorado had an opportunity. There was a possibility if he were to leave the program, he would end up at Colorado. Now, people are going to be like, how could he leave how could he end up at Colorado? There's no transfer portal. Listen, if he was dismissed from the team, he can walk on, or he can unenroll as a student and walk on that way. At least that's what has sort of been a trend of late, that a little loophole that the NCAA hasn't fixed. Well, we got some closure on the situation today. Head coach Josh Heupel, that is, of Tennessee, spoke to the media, and he said, Boo is part of our team here. So there's some things that he's got to accomplish to get back on the field here. Don't have a timetable with that. So Boo Carter, no longer in the mix there to come to Colorado. I do think it was one of those things where it was a risk, and I talked about the risks that were associated with Boo Carter, simply because he's a guy that, although he's talented, although he brings a lot to the table, although he could possibly be the next Travis Hunter, right, or similar to Travis Hunter. I don't think anyone will ever be the next one, but people are going to try, right? You can't really have your next Travis Hunter unless you try to have your next Travis Hunter. He played both ways, but the problem was he comes with a lot of baggage. He obviously missed those team meetings. He had to, and the other part of the quote was, our leadership council has been a part of those discussions with me and Boo. So the team leaders at Tennessee obviously felt like he was okay. He did not attend the team's workouts leading into fall camp, which is set to begin July 30th. And then he was supposed to report to on July 29th and did not. But they obviously need him, right? So I think sometimes it really just depends on how good you are. But at the end of the day, I was talking about his baggage, and there's a lot of it. And this was sort of my hesitancy with Colorado taking a flyer on him, because although he's a great player, does he fit into Colorado's great culture, right? And whether people want to admit it or not, Deion Sanders has cultivated a fantastic culture. For those of you who want to go back to the Louis Luggage statement, guess what? Jack Castera, the Utah State wide receiver transfer, he was on that team, right? He was in that room, I believe, where they told everyone to get out. And now he's back on the team. He chose to transfer back to Colorado, right? Obviously, he spent a couple years away, developing, getting better, and look at that. So Deion Sanders has a great culture, and I think Boo Carter, for how good he was a risk to that culture, in the sense of, one, you have the team issues with skipping meetings. He was apparently MIA in California, and then he also had the issue with his NIL agent, where he kind of just ghosted one and was picked up by Omar Cooper. If you guys don't know who that is, which I don't know if you guys really need to know NIL agents, but Omar Cooper is a name to know simply because so far it has meant nothing but trouble, right? So Omar Cooper is the father of Sharif Cooper. If you guys don't know who that is, he was a former 5-star basketball player that went to Auburn, was expected to sort of be, I don't say like the next Kyrie, but that kind of player where shifty, sharpshooter, but he missed the first 12 games of his freshman season due to an NCAA investigation into his eligibility. They needed to see he explored professional options, and then he ultimately made his debut Only to, I guess, he only played in 12 games. His dad sort of advised him on what to do. His dad advised him to go to the NFL or the NBA. Went in, I think it was a second round, 48th pick as a 5-star recruit. Probably could have gone back to college. Probably could have played his way into, I won't say a lottery pick, but a first-round pick contention. And then also Omar Cooper is most notably famous, I guess, this past NBA draft cycle for representing Ace Bailey. And if you don't know who Ace Bailey was, he at one point was supposed to push Cooper Flagg for the number 1 spot. And then once Cooper Flagg, everyone was like, okay, Cooper Flagg is that guy. Everyone was like, okay, so who's number 2, right? Who's going to be the number 2 overall pick? And it was like, oh, this Ace Bailey kid from Rutgers. He's tall, he could shoot, he could score, he could pretty much do everything you need with the ball. Only problem is his representation, Mr. Omar Cooper, told him not to work out with any teams. Refused, and they made it clear that they didn't want to play for certain teams that already had established stars. So the 76ers were in the mix. There was other teams up there. But Ace Bailey wanted to go to a worse team so that way he could be a star and have superstar potential. And so, yeah, Boo Carter had a lot of baggage with him. I think he's a great player. I wish him nothing but the best. So let me iterate that so that way this doesn't come off as me just hating on the kid. I hope he does well, right? I hope he figures things out. Obviously, whatever's going on is not sustainable at Tennessee. It's not sustainable for a career in the NFL, right? If you're proved to be difficult, teams will eventually move on from you and you'll be sort of left sitting there in the dust. It happens all the time, right? There's just when you think you're irreplaceable, there's about 30 of you ready to go, right? I just watched an interview with Johnny Manziel probably like 20 minutes before I recorded this. And Johnny was just talking about how he botched his NFL career, right? He didn't work hard enough. He didn't do what he needed to do. He went party in Vegas. He bought a disguise, right? Obviously, this is a different scenario, but it's the same point. He was a first-round pick, and they were like, nah, we're good, right? I mean, Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders, obviously a tough comparison here because he didn't really do anything bad. It was just rumored stuff that happened in those meetings. But Shedeur Sanders fell, right? Like NFL teams, college teams, they will move on from you. So I hope Boo Carter, I don't want to say snaps into a reality here, but I hope he finds some closure or someone who's going to give him good advice. I think that's sort of the leading cause in terrible decision making in sports is young athletes who get terrible advice. It's usually by people who have their own interests in the forefront. I'm looking at a certain quarterback in Los Angeles, California, who left a certain school that we've been talking about earlier this episode. Adults who are telling these kids what to do because they think it's best for them, but in reality, it's only going to benefit the adult. Those people, usually those athletes, that is, usually don't work out, right? So Boo Carter's staying at Tennessee. He's not dismissed. Colorado could close that chapter. I don't know if Colorado necessarily had interest on him. From my understanding, they probably would have kicked the tires, but I don't know if they would have been like, hey, starting spot ready and waiting for you. Like I think they would have had to do some digging, and with all that's been going on, I don't really know if they would have wanted to take him. So that is the closing of the Boo Carter chapter. It was fun while it lasted. It was a fun little conspiracy, but it's no longer there. So let's talk about Charlie Offerdahl because he made a major career announcement today. It's a little bit disappointing, but what are you going to do? It's part of life. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, that's more me right there, making memories. This one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized, right? You can maybe you're playing a full 18 and you want to walk, right? And obviously you're hitting all over the yard. Well, guess what? This 5 Hour Energy will keep you energized throughout. So that way you don't have to worry about getting fatigued after a couple holes. So golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Of course, the grape, ginger, lime flavors give you the best parts of your clubhouse go to without chasing down the bev cart. So If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com. You could use promo code LOCKEDONGOLF. Again, Locked On Golf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, follow, hit that, smash that 5-star button, right? Let's have some fun. The Colorado football season, college football season, it's coming up, right? And you won't want to miss any of the coverage. We're going to have cool guests throughout the year. We're going to be doing crossovers with other people who cover other teams, may have some players on the show. So it's going to be fun. But let's talk about a player who's now a former player, I guess we could say, Charlie Offerdahl. He was, and I think he drew mixed reviews from fans, right? But Charlie Offerdahl was a grinder, a running back who was a walk-on, opted to stay with the team. Deion Sanders quickly fell in love with the kid. You could tell that he was someone that Coach Prime loved his work ethic, loved how he told that entire roster to leave, and Charlie Offerdahl was like, no, I'm going to stick around. And then Charlie Offerdahl ended up earning reps. He ended up starting last year, I think, a couple games. So, but he's dealt with some injuries. And so this is what he had to say in a recent video. He said this to the team, quote, obviously I haven't been here this summer. I won't be coming back this year. Just how serious that last concussion was and how many I've everybody know here, and thank you guys. I love you guys, how much you guys have done for me and my football career. He then said that he plans to apply for dental school, which Coach Prime ultimately that he plans to help him with his financials the rest of the way. He's going to keep his scholarship, so that way Charlie doesn't have to worry about paying for his schooling. In terms of what he did on the field, I think Charlie is the epitome of the culture shift that Coach Prime caused. This past year, he rushed for 26 carries for 119 yards, and he even got a touchdown against Utah, which was a pretty big deal. He also had 4 catches for 13 yards. But it's not really about stats with Charlie Offerdahl, and I don't want people to diminish him because he wasn't rushing for 1,000 yards and breaking ankles and winning Heismans, because you can have an impact on a team without being like a legend, right? And I think Charlie Offerdahl was the epitome of hard work. He was the epitome of a sign of the times changing in Boulder. He was the epitome of the culture that Coach Prime wanted, right? He wanted everybody, no matter if it was his son, Travis Hunter, Charlie Offerdahl, a walk-on, former walk-on, or a key starter like Jimmy Horn or someone. He wanted everyone to be trying their best 1,000% of the time, right? The cool thing about Charlie Offerdahl was, regardless of what he was, honestly, let's put it that way, right? He's a walk-on. He's not supposed to play. He's not supposed to be a key part of the team. Regardless of how people from the outside viewed him, he viewed himself as someone that could help the team, right? He motivated other running backs. Coach Prime said in the video that Charlie never had a bad day, which means he showed up every single day with a good attitude, hard work, and he just grinded, right? And his hard work was paid off, right? He was able to start, and he was able to sort of, I guess, leave a lasting legacy under the Coach Prime era, right? I don't think 20 years from now we'll be talking about Charlie Offerdahl as one of the Colorado greats, but I guarantee you, when you talk about Deion Sanders' coaching career at Colorado, and you go, say, 10 years from now, and you ask him, like, name me a handful of players who, like, helped you flip the switch, sure, he's going to mention his sons. Sure, he's going to mention Travis Hunter, who is a generational college football player, but he's also going to mention Charlie Offerdahl, right? Charlie Offerdahl is everything that every college football program wants and needs. That's why people around the sport are terrified of the removal of walk-ons, because sometimes those guys end up being the best story. So I wish Charlie nothing but the best. I hope dental school works out for him. He did throw in a little joke there. He was like, in a few years, if you guys need veneers or grills, like, you know where to find me. So really love the energy that Charlie brings. And it's sad to see that he wasn't able to finish it out on the field. But obviously he's got to keep his mentals in check, or he's got to focus on his mentals, as Marshawn Lynch said. I think it was Marshawn Lynch. And you just got to be able to really put yourself first sometimes and put your health first. So wish him nothing but the best, and I hope all of you will go do the same. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a potential Colorado recruiting win. But first, quick break. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Let's talk recruiting. Colorado Buffaloes, they're not necessarily killing it by any means, or at least they haven't been yet, but they do have sort of this, I guess, momentum that can build. I was good old friend of the show, John Garcia Jr., former co-host, he's a recruiting analyst for Rivals. He hit us with a good report today. Let's just put it that way. He said all recent momentum in Ben Gula's recruitment points to Colorado. The Buffs, he's a Florida guy, Cypress Bay. The Buffs have been battling in-state UCF for the offensive line recruit, but the communication coming from Boulder is making the larger impact. John wrote, he took official visits to each program and has been so torn that he pushed back his original commitment date of July 20th. But apparently, a conversation with Coach Gunnar White, the offensive line coach, and in-depth phone call quote with Deion Sanders has combined to push the Colorado lead even further. So here's what you need to know about Mr. Ben Gula, because, I mean, Colorado's always looking for good recruits across the offensive line. Ben is a Florida guy, so you already know Coach Prime's in the mix there. You know he loves him some Florida guys. 6'3", 285, interior offense lineman. So he's got some size to pick up, right? That's okay. A lot of these high school recruits do. They're not always the biggest. He ranks as the 14th, and this is the industry ranking, ranks as the 1,468th player in the country, 137th interior offense lineman, and 176th player in the state of Florida. 3-star recruit. He has a lot of offers, though, right? He has schools like Texas A&M offered him, Maryland, Miami, Penn State, Indiana, UCF, like I said. So this is a sneaky under-the-radar win. Colorado, I think, prides themselves on finding these hidden gems at offensive line. Cash Cleveland was a hidden gem. Whether people want to admit it or not, I think Colorado fans are a little bit sour on how he left, or not how he left, just in general that he left. But, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you have to be able to recruit well at the offensive line. And Ben Gula is a guy that probably comes in, plays right away, or at least contributes right away. They've had success bringing in freshmen, developing them physically. I mean, Jordan Seaton started every game at left tackle last year, right? Jordan Seaton was a little bit undersized, and I think he played at like 285-ish, 290-ish. Now he's over 300 pounds, looks the part. And so I expect that's sort of the pitch to all of these young offensive linemen is like, hey, we want to play you, right? We don't want to keep going into the portal and taking risks or swings on these guys who are older and not living up to expectations, right? Colorado brought in, I saw this tweet the other day, and it was a tweet about the 2024 offense line. It was like, they have Khalil Benson, they have Tyler Brown, they have, I don't know, Phillip Houston, Tyler Johnson. It was like, on paper, it looks like it was going to be a good group. And ultimately, it didn't work out, right? So it's one of those things where if you're a Colorado fan, you don't want to just shoot down every 3-star recruit that Colorado's recruiting, because some of those guys are the foundational pieces, right? Some of those guys are the difference between winning games and losing games, right? Because even though they're not ranked high, doesn't mean they don't bring that effort, that tenacity, that motivation. And I think, and I always find it cheesy kind of when Iowa State says they have that 3-star ranking but 5-star culture, but Colorado's going to have some of the same stuff. Like a lot of the guys that they're landing, there's going to be some blue chippers. I'm not going to deny that, but they're going to take some swings on some under-recruited guys and see how they work out. And so a lot of this is a testament to the culture and their development plans. So I think Colorado's really trending towards Ben Gula, as reported by John Garcia Jr. That would really help out the class because, I mean, let's look at Colorado's class right now. They have, I think it's 9 commits, if I'm not mistaken. It could be less. I don't know. Yeah, they have 9 commits, currently ranked 83rd in the country. They have 2 4-stars in Rodney Colton Jr. and Preston Ashley. Carson Crawford is another guy who I'm hopeful for, linebacker out of Texas. Gavin Mueller, tight end, Xavier Payne, another offensive tackle, another offensive lineman from Florida, DeMonte Timms, safety from Florida, Colby Johnson, linebacker from Washington, Coach Pecco's son, who's going to be an athlete, Maurice Williams out of New Orleans. So the Buffs are really focusing on defense. They're focused on rebuilding the defensive side of the ball. But we'll just stay tuned and make sure they seal the deal on that recruitment. So appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to give me 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. I appreciate all of you guys for your support. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. The episodes are going to be going back to the 5 a.m. releases, or it's going to be 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. Obviously, Deion Sanders' press conference kind of threw off my schedule, but it was definitely worth the wait to learn that Coach Prime is cancer-free. If you missed that episode, go check it out. We had a lot of fun talking about just the overall reveal, his diagnosis, what he's been through, and all that he's endured. So appreciate you guys. I'm Kevin Borba. This has been Locked on Buffs.